my fellow readers. In this video I'm going to talk about Sugar Apple Fairy Tale Volume 3. So this is the volume that ends the first major arc of the series, and well, actually I think technically it's like a second arc, but that doesn't matter. It's the end of the first season of the anime, so this is all that's been adapted thus far for the anime, which I would highly recommend watching. I think it was very well done. Season 2 is coming out in July. Unfortunately, the next light novel volume is not coming out until September, so it does look like we'll get the rest of Season 2 before even finding out what happens light novel wise. So if you were, I don't know, I feel like if you wanted to stay ahead of the game with the light novels, you're not going to be able to. They want to do like the anime first, and then you'll have to read the light novel. But this is such a good volume. This is the one that, like, it breaks your heart, but it also like shows you the characters and who they are and where they're going and what they're willing to do and sacrifice for one another, and especially in Shell's case in this one. Here we finally get to see Anne working really towards possibly her final chance at becoming the Silver Sugar Master. Now, she doesn't know that, but that actually ends up being a big point of the plot that Shell finds out. I don't entirely get why it would have to be her last chance, unless it is that there are so many opposed to her that she would be further shoved out, or if it has to do with that she's not under a school. Alright, there's a lot to unpack here. So I've got to like rewind and go back to the beginning, because I also feel like there was more mentioned in this than what we got in the anime. So I'll quickly read the back, and then I'm going to try to walk through some of the major points and features that happen in this one. So, no sugar apples, no silver sugar. The Royal Candy Fair approaches, and Anne Helford is ready to tackle the competition again to win the title of Silver Sugar Master. However, she is in a bind due to the year's poor harvest of sugar apples, the most important ingredient for silver sugar. And the only way to obtain the limited few is by working at the Radcliffe workshop. Despite having had terrible encounters with the candy crafters from that faction, Anne decides to go, as she won't let anything deter her from achieving her dream. Now she just needs to find a motif for her sugar candy sculpture. So yeah, she has to end up working at that terrible school with the people that treat her terribly in order to achieve her goal. But the other things that we find out in this, like I said, I was going to go back to the beginning. There's more world building in here to understand a lot of the difficulties that Anne faces. And also like the whole messed up fairy slavery thing. There's just a lot to unpack in the lore of this series, because part of not only does this society believe in slavery, they're also very misogynistic. So part of why Anne is facing this struggle and having difficulty becoming a Silver Sugar Master is because she is female, and women are not typically trained or accepted as Silver Sugar students or masters. And part of that goes back to the whole fairy war and all of that stuff, because I think it was seen, I don't remember exactly what happened in the story, but women, I don't remember if they sided more with the fairy folk, but there was a whole issue there. So of course, and this kind of goes back to the whole Judeo-Christian women thing, we carry all the negatives on us, but that sort of happens here, where because there was a siding with them, women are then kind of seen as lesser, and they're not taught to be Silver Sugar Masters because they don't have the same rights and level. So this is great. So we're dealing with a lot of kind of the crappiness that we do face in reality, but in this fantasy world. So yeah, women are kind of oppressed and treated crappily in this case, and not as bad as the fairies, of course. But again, there's the whole lore and backstory that goes with it, which I thought was really good to have in this volume, and I don't think they quite touched upon in the anime. They did go over the friendship and kind of betrayal of the human king and the fairy, that kind of brought the whole world through, and it also showed like the differences of how humans have taken that story versus how the fairies know the story. So I don't know, it's very, there's so much, and it was so good. On top of having that lore and world building, of course, we meet other characters that reveal more secrets and the world to us, and we meet a truly horrible woman that is manipulative and does awful things, and I don't want to give away that whole part of the story, but I do not like her. And this volume ends with a major cliffhanger and separation of the group. But it does end with a great sculpture from Anne and this big buildup of emotion and what's going to happen next. This is probably the best volume of the series thus far, because there was a lot that was tackled and hit a lot of emotional highs. So if you haven't read the series, or if you weren't sure to continue, please continue at least until you get to this one and then see how you feel about it, because it's so good. It's definitely bringing in those questions about the treatment of others, and of course including the fairies. And I don't know how that'll all play out, because I would doubt that the series is building to some kind of, maybe though, maybe. But I was like, I doubt it's building to like some kind of war or revolution. Although, if I'm being honest, there have been little pieces that have built in, and then some of the people that we know and how close they are, maybe it is. I'm not sure. That would be interesting. But a lot of the underlying things, regardless of whether they can cure that, are so good. And I love that it's bringing up the manipulation of fairies and their weakness and enslavement, and how like wrong that is and kind of gross it is. Because I think it also makes us reflect on possibly our treatment of others, and you know, where we might not have the wings to exploit. I think there are a lot of people that will exploit other parts of people in order to manipulate the situation and get what they want. So anyway, that's at least what I think of. I start thinking of how people treat other people, and it is good if you feel disgusted by that and want things to change. That's a good feeling. And yeah, I see that reflected here. Plus, this is just such a nice story. Like, there's a lot of emotional stuff happening, and it's good to have those. But also just the relationship development between like Shell and Anne. And I gotta say also for Mithril, I don't know, I'm always so nervous about him, because I'm hoping it doesn't take a sad turn, because like they'll talk occasionally about how like short his lifespan will probably be, and I'm like, don't go there. You can go most other places, but please don't kill Mithril, or just, I mean, let him die. I don't want to face that. That makes me a little sad. But every once in a while when they bring it up, I'm like, please don't go there. Just please don't. Because I have like this really bad track record of like, if I like a character, I'm like, that character's probably going to die. And in a lot of ways it still holds true through today. So like, I don't know. But again, I would just highly recommend Sugar Apple Fairy Tale. The series is continuing well. I love everything that was brought up in this volume. I think it was brilliant. and I look forward to continuing the story. It looks like I'm probably going to watch the anime before reading the light novel, and I guess that's fine because much like with this one, I think all that'll happen is I'll get more backstory with the light novel. So I guess I'm kind of looking forward to July. I'm looking forward to continuing the series. That is it for this video. Until next time, bye.